And so, what did Bibo tell you? Zenaida Amador.
At that time, I fancied myself a singer. So I was singing my way through the roles. And one day she goes to me, "Don't sing like that. You're not Barbara Streisand." And I go, "I'm not? Who am I?" And of course everybody laughed and she got totally pissed.
The world has gone bonkers. We now live in George Orwell's 1984. War is peace, ignorance is strength, and crazy is normal. How do you stay sane? Michael Williams is an actor, director, drama coach, and mid-level mahjong player. Currently, he is the artistic director of Full House Theater Company at Resorts World Manila. So, Michael, when did you realize you were an actor?
I didn't until I was told by my mentor Bibot, Zenaida Amador.
Okay. How did you land in repertory in the first place?
I'd always been performing in school. I was part of the Glee Club. I was part of the Junior Drama Guild, and I was on my way to the States when a friend of mine said I was about to migrate, and I had like 2 months or 3 months waiting before I actually left. And he said, that's enough time to do a play. Why don't you audition for Repertory Philippines? He was currently doing Annie.
Oh, so you were supposed to leave the Philippines?
Yes.
But theater kind of anchored you here.
Yeah. So he was in that show, and he said they're opening auditions for the next productions coming up. And why don't you audition? Because in those days, we didn't have karaoke. We would go to his house and we'd
Sing around the piano?
Absolutely. So he said, "Hey, you've got a voice. Why don't you audition?" So I did. And I auditioned 3 times because they kept turning me down. And the third time, I said, "Hey, why are they turning me down? I have a voice." So I asked the pianist, "Could you please not play? I'm going to sing a cappella." And I did, and then they took me. And I was in a big musical at the Rizal Theater, the defunct Rizal Theater.
Which I miss, yes.
And then after that, they put me into the season play at the Insular Life Theater, and then it was clear sailing from there on.
And so, what did Bibo tell you? Zenaida Amador.
At that time, I fancied myself a singer. So I was singing my way through the roles. And one day she goes to me, "Don't sing like that. You're not Barbara Streisand." And I go, "I'm not? Who am I?" And of course everybody laughed and she got really totally pissed. And she decided to make an actor out of me. And she pointed out that I was able to interpret the songs in a kind of character. She says, "You're not just a singer, you're an actor." And she gave me roles and we worked together and she taught me. And I discovered that I was an actor also. But although I have a bit of a difficulty with that definition of myself. When you're filling out forms and you say occupation, I can't put actor.
So what do you put?
I put performer or theater artist. I think it's very limiting to say that you're just an actor.
That's true.
Because I'm not just that.
Yes, you have to say theater artist.
Yeah.
Because people tend to put you in a box.
Yeah.
It's the same with me.
And also, necessity dictates that you do many things. You can't
Yes.
just be an actor, especially in the year when I began, 1983, 84. You had to be industrious. You had to be able to do many things. I was part of the light crew at some point. I was part of the stage management.
Great. So
at some
it was
point.
all around training.
Yeah. Many people from the Insular Life days of Repertory Philippines will tell you that they probably remember me most for being the doorman. I would be the one at the door saying, "Season ticket holder number 1." Then they'd line up. I'd open the door for them.
So, what happened to the migrating?
That didn't happen. And then did theater work until 1989 when we were chosen to be part of the original cast of Miss Saigon in London.
And so, before you got into theater, what did you see yourself becoming when you grew up? As in career-wise?
I was a bit confused I was an IT. I was a computer major.
Oh wow.
I worked with in the Cordon Bleu École de Manille in Green Hills. I was there working with Ludette Dayrit as part of that group for a little while. I thought maybe I'd be a chef.
Chef slash IT person
Right?
who ends up in theater.
Yeah.
Wait, can we offer you something to drink? Malbec?
Coffee would be fine.
Okay. Gamba, please. Our assistant Gamba will give you our coffee. Yes, he is our assistant. Okay. Yeah, so how would you describe the state of Philippine theater today? Because it seems to me that there's so much more going on than in past years.
Yeah, it's very exciting to be a practitioner, also an audience of Philippine theater now. The kind of players in the industry that push the envelope. They're bigger productions, more streamlined, more sophisticated. There's a lot more practitioners now that are trained. The triple threat used to be a fluke of nature.
Yeah.
When it was my day, very few of us were trained in all three disciplines of singing, acting, and dancing. But now, this generation of kids performing, a lot of them have training in all the disciplines. And then you can see them, performing like that, the triple threats that they are, and it's amazing.
Does this mean that the theater is now a viable career path, as in people can now make a living as theater artists?
That was my late mentor's vision. She said she created Repertory Philippines to prove that theater could be a viable career path for young artists and theater practitioners. And she created Repertory, and it was known as the most commercial theater company of its day. It didn't have any government support. It made its own it had a business side of it too that was very efficient. Today, it's become a proper industry.
That's great.
Yeah, although we're not quite there yet. We don't have as much support from the private sector or any government institution. We're still quite on our own. The theater companies, a member or practitioners or actors don't have benefits. We don't have SSS. We don't have those things yet. But we're already starting to galvanize. We have pocket groups. We've got Theater Actors Guild.
Yeah, and there's so many theater companies now.
We have Phil Stage, which is the umbrella group of all the professional theater companies.
There are weekends when you really have to super schedule your time because there are plays on opposite sides of the city, and you have to somehow make them all.
Yes, and it's so exciting because the material that's being presented is quite diverse.
Yes.
So there's something for everybody.
Yeah. And so actors have a reputation for being dramatic in real life, as in, they're very method, as in they claim they are possessed by a character. Is that just drama, or is it true that actors get possessed by
I wouldn't say possessed, but you have to understand, you work yourself into a character, a mode of thinking, a way of reacting to things for months before you open the show. And then when you open the show, you are that person for the entire run of that show. So for a good 2, 3, 4 hours of the day, you are that person.
And I figure that when you were doing Miss Saigon in London, you were for all intents and purposes your character.
Right.
As in, you leave the theater, people expect you to be that person. Yeah.
Yes. I've been in a situation where I did a show here, and we rehearsed with such intensity that I didn't know I was actually behaving a little bit like that character that I was portraying. It was an unintentional thing, but I think it's par for the course when you imbibe or try to be that person, and it alters you a little bit.
And sometimes it can kill you. Look at people like Heath Ledger.
Yes. When you go really deep and dark.
What do you do to shed a character that you've been playing?
I guess I'm really lucky in that that happens easily for me. I'm readily able to let go of those things. I have a lot of things that distract me. I like pets. I like cooking. I like going out.
You like playing mahjong?
I like playing mahjong. I mean, those forms of entertainment that don't require much engagement, just really easy, relaxed, a lot of unwinding.
Would you say that being an actor and getting into the skins of fictional characters, does this give you more access to your emotions? Because, it's amazing, but a lot of people cannot express their emotions. There's some bar to it.
Personally speaking, for me, I am like that. I wear my heart on my sleeves. People generally know exactly how I feel about them. My close friends can read me like a book. But I think in general, Asians have more access to their emotions as opposed to our Western actors counterparts. I think they are more technical. They have to sit down and really analyze why, how, what could this person feel like versus that, the situation. A lot of Asian artists, theater artists, are very instinctive. So I don't necessarily think that actors per se have access.
It's more a cultural
It's more of a
thing.
cultural thing. Yeah.
Yeah, because now that you bring it up, it's true. I don't often hear of Filipino actors saying, "No, but what's my motivation?"
Yeah, they get it,
etc.
right?
They get it.
Yeah. And if you look at acting on TV,
Yeah.
there's not a lot of discussion. They give you the script, boom, you're good to go. They get it. They know. It seems to be the common thing among Asian actors.
So, what's the craziest thing you've witnessed in the theater? Yeah, for instance, your mentor was Zenaida Amador, and we all hear stories of her yelling at people.
Yes. Yes.
So I guess it comes to a point where being yelled at is
De rigueur.
normal.
Yeah. It also comes with. I mean, you have to take it all of it in context. I mean, she was building an industry. She had
they were the first. Yeah.
She had to fight every inch of the way. So she used to have her office in her Volkswagen.
Oh.
And she had to sell her shows on purely the strength of her conviction that it's a good show, where there was none.
Round up everyone you know
and
drag them over.
And there is a story that the first show ever of Repertory Philippines had only 7 people in the audience.
Okay.
And there were 14 people in the cast. And of the 7 people, they were all relatives.
Okay.
So it was like that. So she valued the work so much that she hated anybody who was a dilettante or just dabbling. She wanted everybody to be a professional participant with that amount of commitment. So we've had people who are bankers and had other day jobs who would come to work. Our rehearsals would be at 5 after office hours, but they were there. They were committed. They were pros. She created all these professional actors that had other lives because it was the only way that it could be done then. So she was constantly fighting to achieve her ideal. And I remember we would be sat down at a company call, and she would inspire us with things like she would say to you, for example, you could think of your theater work in 2 ways. You could think of yourself as a bricklayer, and you're just building a wall, brick by brick, or you could think of yourself as somebody who is building a cathedral. So which are you? Are you a bricklayer or are you building a cathedral? So you have a larger picture of yourself in the scheme of this industry, right? And you're thinking, I'm one of the few that's at the forefront of this particular theater company, and I don't want to just be a bricklayer building a wall. I want to be more. So that inspired us to seek more information, be more proactive in the industry.
And so over the years, you've worked with a lot of theater companies and productions. What would you say is your best performance of all time? And also, what was the most difficult role you ever had to do, and how did you...
Okay, just to give you an idea, in 1983, Repertory had 2 seasons a year. Every season had 5 plays.
Okay.
So that's 10 plays a year, plus the large musical outside. So effectively, we were doing a play a month. We would rehearse in the afternoon,
For the next play.
and perform the evening. From there until 1989, I'd already done over 100 productions. And in some productions, I would be doing 2 roles. So there's a whole slew of plays and musicals, productions that I've done. And there's a lot of them that I love for different reasons. There is a play called, what was it called? Moose Murders.
Moose Murders.
It's this awful, loopy script. But
Is it a detective
kind of
mystery? Yeah.
kind of. So it's this really super dysfunctional family. I really still think that it's ahead of its time, that script. And I played a character named Stinky, who was a 1960s throwback. You know, flower child,
Yeah.
totally
Hippie.
yeah, totally zonked out on weed, who had an Oedipus complex, always trying to put his arm around his mom. You know,
Okay.
it's totally whacked out. But I had so much fun with that role that for years people kept reminding me of it. I saw you as Stinky. Hey, Stinky. You know, so that was fun. And for that, I liked it. One of my all-time favorites is A Man of La Mancha, where I played Don Quixote. I love that musical because of what it's about.
Yeah, and of course in the Philippines it has a very strong political
Absolutely.
content. Yes.
And I love that for that. And the music of it was beautiful. The characters are gorgeous. I loved Les Mis when I did Les Mis as Javert because of the stories. In the back, there's a death scene where Javert jumps off the bridge.
Yes.
So I'm there singing full-throated, all pulled out all the stops, singing every night, jumping off the bridge, and then collapsing into the pool of swirling smoke to roll off stage. At the end of that song, I'm parched.
Okay.
So I'm always going, okay, I'm gonna go to the back and get a drink of water. So all hushed, right? Every night I'm like that. This particular night, I go to the hallway in Meralco Theater and I see the dressing room of Leon Roque, who has on his table a tin of pastilles, right?
Yeah.
The kind that is hard to open because the sugar gets between the cap and the thing. So I'm stealing a couple of these pastilles and this thing just pops open. The whole content
Explodes,
of the thing explodes. And of course, I yell out an expletive, right?
Okay.
And unbeknownst to me, the microphone is left on.
Oh.
So it was heard in the house. You hear, who was it? Leo Valdez going, God on high. Then somebody else, expletive. And then, of course, Robbie Guevara comes to me and says, did you yell something obscene? No. Well, yeah. You were heard in the house. No. Pulling my leg. Here comes Bebot. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. I'm totally freaking out, right? And she goes, if you have to curse, do it in French. So I'm like, right? And because the sound tech never had to turn off my mic. Right? So that one night she forgot, and I just, that's just one of the funniest things that I remember.
This heavy training you had, as in 10 plays a year, etc., etc. That must have been really good training for London.
Yes.
Was there any culture shock going from
Yes.
Philippine theater to?
And I remember,
Theater.
my good friend Junix in Ocean.
Yeah.
He's rest in peace. When we got to
Last seen in a Robbie Williams video.
when we got to London and we were starting rehearsals, we were going, is this it? What do you mean? Isn't this is all we're doing? Right? We wake up in the morning, we do aerobics class, we break for lunch, we watch, we immerse ourselves in Vietnamese culture, we watch movies, and then we do 2 scenes and then we go home. That's it. Because back home, a day would be like this. On a weekend, I would wake up at 10 in the morning, be prepared to sing by 11, go to one of the cafes in Salcedo or Legazpi Village where they are having lunch. We perform for those people. And then by 2 o'clock, we should be done, rush to Land Bank where we have our rehearsal hall, grab the production manager, go collecting props for about an hour, beg, borrow, go back to Land Bank and rehearse at 4 to 6:30, run from Land Bank to Insular Life. We hot-foot it because it's faster than taking a car. Be in the theater by 7,
From
put on...
Buendia to Paseo. Yeah, okay.
Be in the theater at 7 o'clock, put on makeup, be ready to perform at 7:30. House opens at 7:40, perform at 8, finish at midnight, do that whole thing again.
Yeah, so life seems so much harder, right?
So when we got to London, it was so easy for us.
It's like hearing your ears pop.
This is like,
What else is
we're
going
just
on?
doing one show.
Yeah.
That's it. We had no product lunches to rehearse in the middle of the matinee or in the evening. We would do like product lunch rehearsals between shows.
Yeah.
After we have our meal, we would rehearse. So we were like,
It was like a vacation for you.
yes, but it was also, it wasn't as hard as you might think. We were thinking, we wanted to be actors. We're living the life. This is an actor's life. We're doing nothing but rehearsing. We're performing. This is it, man. We were on the, we were just happy to be doing what we did. And then when we got to London, we realized, we were doing so much back in Manila.
So, Filipinos have always had lively arguments about, well, everything basically, but especially politics. But because of social media and the atmosphere that we're living in today, the discussion has become especially toxic and vicious. And so, do you follow politics at all? Are you on the social media?
Yeah, I follow Philippine politics and American politics. It
Yes.
fascinates me how polarized it's gotten.
And how very much like theater.
Yeah.
It all is.
Yeah,
Yes.
and how
Actually, it is a form of theater. Yeah.
well, yeah, actually it is. And how PR, public relations, and news articles, may they be real or fake, actually shapes the way people think.
Yes.
The whole, social media, you can actually choose what you see and what you don't see, and create a kind of an echo chamber where you hear nothing but those things that you want to hear, and
Where everybody
and
agrees
it
with
magnifies your
Yes.
original opinion, which I think helps polarize people.
Does this cause you anxiety? Or?
Yes, it does, but I've decided that to be proactive about it. I mean, they have taken over social media
Yes.
and have used it, you could say weaponized
They've
it.
weaponized, yes.
And a lot of people I know have decided, it's too toxic. I'm gonna go off of social media.
Yes.
And I think that's sad because if you are capable, one of those people who are more discerning and can discern fake news from real news, you could actually be helping disseminate what is
What is true.
what is true, and strengthening or creating a better kind of social media, as opposed to pulling away from it and being apathetic.
Instead of leaving it
to them,
Yes.
and having that space
Yeah.
to do with as they will.
so by default.
Yeah. I mean, why pull yourself out of that discussion when you could contribute something that is positive, or even just present an opposing, possibly different perspective.
So you manage to stay engaged, to stay in the social media, and you don't run amok.
No, I don't.
Or at least pull out your hair.
I mean, it gets aggravating when you think that some people are actually barefaced, about their posts, or blinded, or are unwilling to compromise their opinions.
Yes,
or,
because we know that correcting fake news with the facts never works.
Never works.
When people make their minds up,
they just
that's
shut down.
it.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's up to those people. As far as I'm concerned, I've done in my little sphere of influence, because I don't have a lot of followers. I'm just little old me. But I have not disengaged from a potentially positive discourse or discussion with some people who may change their mind, but that's a two-way street. I mean, I look at everything, so it doesn't preclude the possibility that I might change my mind about some things as well. You know, it's like giving up if you become apathetic to the idea of your influence on social media, I think.
And so, would you consider yourself an optimist?
I try to be, but it's difficult. I try to be. I think generally I am optimistic, but sometimes you get tired and you're not emotionally equipped to be optimistic. And I have my moments when I'm dark and in the doldrums. And
what stresses you out? As in,
what doesn't
whether
stress me out?
Whether at work or in real life, what stresses you out?
I like to see a clear path through my work. Oftentimes there are challenges. Those are interesting. It's very interesting to try to figure them out. But they are also sometimes a cause of stress when you come to an impasse and you can't seem to get around an obstacle. But that's not the kind of stress that is debilitating to me. I don't know. Discord with friends maybe is a source of
And
stress.
how does the stress manifest itself?
Me personally, lack of sleep.
That's
I
pretty common.
ruminate.
Yeah, and some people get hives or.
Yeah, I have vitiligo. Small bits of it, and I think that every time I get stressed,
Yung little rashes turn up.
they get active.
And so, what do you do to get rid of the stress?
You know, I like getting massages. I go to the gym. I eat. I have a cocktail now and then. You know. I visit with friends. Things that regular people do. Watch a movie.
And then, in my observation, as in anxiety is more rampant now because we're constantly swamped with information, and much of the information is about politics worldwide, and it's it's a dreadful situation.
And it's also the times we live in. No, things are a bit difficult. There's traffic problems. There's all sorts of things that thwart you from doing what you want to do.
Actually, even entertainment now is stressful. For instance, I watch Game of Thrones, so I realized after watching episode 2, it's like, oh no, I'm stressed because I know that some of them are going to die, and then later I think, but these are fictional characters. But I have invested years of my life in the survival of these people. So it makes me kind of miss escapism.
Yeah.
And then we're cat people. How did you become a cat person?
I'm actually an animal lover.
Okay.
So not necessarily just cats. I happen to have
You've had
cats.
dogs, you've had cats.
Growing up, we've had dogs, cats, pigeons, geese, goldfish. We had a monkey. We had a parrot. My brother kept snakes. We had rabbits.
You had snakes in the house?
A couple, but not in the house. They were in like their own, aquariums and things.
Won't they escape and eat all the chickens in
I
the neighborhood or something?
I never really paid attention to the snakes. We had rabbits and other furry fuzzy things that I could touch.
It's very Dr. Dolittle.
Yeah. We had all sorts. I have an affinity for, I guess, cats and dogs are easier to. Right now I have cats.
Do you find that cats are a mental health solution?
Not necessarily, because they could drive you up the wall.
That's true.
But they're easy. They take care of themselves. They're very affectionate, and if they want to show affection to you, you will know.
Yes, because cats are not by nature affectionate.
Yeah, and they won't take no for an answer. They need your attention. They'll be on your table. They'll be on your lap. They'll be on your pen.
So last question. Any material on earth that you can produce on stage, what would you like to?
I would like to do. There are two things that I've been thinking of doing. One is I don't think I could personally could do it. It's not really my material. Not I like the material, but it's not something that I would produce necessarily. It's Enemy of the People.
Oh, Ibsen.
Arthur Miller.
Oh, Arthur Miller. Yeah.
Yes. And I think that's timely. It's about a lot of things that are topical. The other thing that I would like to do is Gross Indecency, which is it's a play about the trial of Oscar Wilde.
Okay.
I think it's very interesting how now he's like their national artist.
Have they apologized to Oscar Wilde for what they did?
I don't know.
Because they apologized to Alan Turing. Yeah.
Yes, right? That's another interesting story. I mean, this guy was he was put into jail.
Yeah.
And he was badly abused, beaten up there, and he lost his hearing, and he escaped into his writing. But it was so sad to think that somebody with a mind like his,
Yes.
you know, to have gone through something like that. And it's how you could see that whole situation degenerating in the trial.
Yes.
That's, I don't know if that'll ever see the light of production locally, if anybody would be interested in that.
Rose
But
in Decency.
yeah, it's a beautiful play.
Yeah, I would agree with that.